Next on ACC Live, Miami survives at Clemson. Is it just hard to win on the road, or did the Tigers show that the Canes are vulnerable? Also,
at midcourt, 2 seconds on the runner. Here's Cook. Can't hit it, and Maryland has won it.
Triumph for the Terps. Maryland fans party it up after Alex Len shut down Mason Plumlee, and he got some help. And JR Reid tells us what some ACC teams have to do to make sure they're in the NCAA tournament. ACC Live Breakdown starts now. It's a new week of ACC Live. Today it's Breakdown. I'm Jeff Fischel with North Carolina and NBA great JR Reid. It's also Dunkuary, and it is Maryland's turn. What's the best dunk in Terps history? You will decide. That's coming up. The Terps, Saturday, upset Duke, and Miami nearly went down yesterday to Clemson. This is our must-see moment, the final seconds. Clemson down 2 with the ball.
He makes this. You have to get Jordan Rope with the ball.
Missed a second. Clemson will have a chance to win it.
Something going towards the rim. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go.
Rod Hall in the paint. Floater. Follow. No! And third-ranked Miami survives at Clemson 45-43. The Hurricanes win in the end on Sunday night.
JR, Rod Hall, and KJ McDaniels, both with great looks.
You can't ask for two better looks than that. Now, this is the type of game that Clemson's on the bubble. They're going to look back, kicking themselves about later on in the season by blown opportunities.
I'll tell you what, this game felt like you were driving behind someone who was like 80 years old. Like, speed up, please. 45-43, the final. The pace was excruciatingly slow. I think halfway through the first half, it was 8-2.
Yeah, we know. But on the road, in the ACC, games are going to be tough like this. And I think this just shows what a tough-minded team University of Miami is and how they get it done. And all those veteran players really paid off.
Was there anything in this game you said, hey, that's a game plan for attacking Miami, for beating the Hurricanes?
Well, your game plan has to be you've got to beat them at home. At their place, they're too tough. They're playing at too high of a level. But Clemson had his opportunities. They're a good defensive team. They did a good job. The Canes didn't shoot the ball very well, had opportunities with last-second shot to win it. And you just have to seal the deal.
Miami now 21-3, 12-0 in the ACC. The Canes still have not lost in the calendar year 2013, but they have now a 2-point win over Clemson and 1-point wins over NC State and BC. Let's break down the entire list of games from the weekend. It's time for the rewind, and let's start with that Clemson-Miami game. Kenny Kaji came through.
Oh, he did. After missing his first 5 threes, he hit the big number 6 one. That's the one that got them to win. But again, Clemson had his opportunities right here to win this game. They come out, Miami holds on.
Florida State held off Boston College by 3.
Oh, Florida State, this is their time of year. They usually make a run, trying to get everything straight for the NCAA tournament, but Michael Snare was terrific. 21 points tonight, first 20-point game of the season.
Ryan Anderson had a chance at the buzzer, but missed a 3. North Carolina got revenge on the Cavs. P.J. Hairston is loving the starting lineup.
And I think Carolina Blue Heaven is everybody's happy right now. He made the change. Roy made the lineup change, but P.J. Harris responded with 29 points.
NC State, a tough overtime win over Virginia Tech.
Oh, Virginia Tech with a gutsy effort here. They sent the game into overtime. 29 points from Eric Green. But Low Brown got it done in overtime with 2 big steals and 4 key free throws.
Robert Carter Jr. hit 2 free throws in the final seconds, helping Georgia Tech beat Wake.
Yes, he did, but Marcus George's Hunt got it done for the rest of the game. 16 big points. It was able to get the victory at Wake Forest.
And Duke falls to Maryland, perhaps the last time the Blue Devils play in College Park. Alex Len was fantastic. He completely made Mason Plumlee disappear. 4 points. But, JR, it wasn't just Alex Len. Shaquille Clear also spent a lot of time shutting down Plumlee in the first half.
Well, when you play against a player like Mason Plumlee, you're going to have to get it done by committee. Mason Plumlee got the best of Alex Len the last time they played, but not this time. This time, University of Maryland did a better job of getting Plumlee off the box, out of the kill zone. Here they do a good job of staying down on him, sitting him baseline, and making him become a playmaker. And if he's doing that, he's not scoring inside and hurting you. Here, Mason Plumlee becomes a playmaker. Off the pick and roll, he has the initial player open, decides to keep it, goes into a whirling dervish. They stay down on his up and under, and they get a block from behind. This is how you have to contain him. And here, Alex Len, they get the ball in the paint. This is where they want Plumlee to have it, but Alex Len does a good job of bodying up and making him finish over the top where he gets the partial block. A great effort from University of Maryland. Not just Alex Len, as you mentioned, Jeff, but great work from all the bigs inside to contain him.
Maryland played very well on defense. They got good shots. But this team turns it over again and again, 26 more on Saturday.
Oh, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Maryland has a problem at the point guard position. Pichon Howard hasn't been in the mix, hasn't bought into Coach Sturgeon's philosophy this year, and Allen at the point has really struggled at times as a freshman. But for them to be successful at the end of the season, they've got to get this thing controlled.
He was clutch at the free throw line in the final seconds,
Yes.
but here's the numbers on turnovers. Maryland, number 342 out of 347 teams in D1 in turnovers. We'll talk more about the Terps, what they need to do to make the tournament coming up. But now it's time to check the calendar. Yep, it's Dunkuary, week 2 of Dunkuary. What dunk will you vote for the best in ACC history? Here's what we're talking about. Here are the details. We've gone through the ACC archives and found what we believe are the 2 best dunks from every ACC school. Those 2 dunks go head-to-head. Whichever dunk gets the most votes from you moves on to the next round. And next week, we release our 16 dunk bracket. Just like the NCAA tournament, we go round by round. And then, on March 11th, on the week of the men's ACC tournament, we announce the winner. Just watch the dunks on our YouTube channel and give a thumbs up to the one you like more. So now it's time for Maryland's first dunk. We're talking the Terps today. We go back to one of the great Terrapins ever, Len Bias. We know how his story ends, and it's a shame we never got to see how good he could be. But he gave us some incredible moments like this one in 1986.
Good gracious alive!
Bias from outside, and he got it. Len Bias with 29.
Oh my!
And he made the steal and a jam! What a play by Bias! Holy cow! Now that was incredible from Len Bias.
So there's Len Bias, JR. You know he was just a phenomenal player, always gave the crowd a wow every time he played.
Absolutely. One of my favorites, one of the best physical specimens to ever grace the court in the ACC. Tremendous athlete, could do it from the outside and in, and one of my favorites, and did it this dunk against Warren Martin, who was one of the best shot blockers in the conference back then.
For those younger than us who don't know about Len Bias, other than maybe how he died, when he was drafted by the Celtics, I mean, he was truly getting comparisons to like a Michael Jordan.
Oh, he was in that elite class, and he could give you the business. Let me tell you, he's a heck of a player.
All right, that's dunk number 1 for Maryland. But what about Stevie Franchise? Steve Francis was only at Maryland for 1 year, but that 1 year he was arguably the most exciting player in college basketball. This was from 1999.
Is kind of the guy that when he steps up for the games, they can play against anybody. There's another one of those cross-court passes, trouble.
Stevie Francis, showtime. Wow. He brings it to his feet, to their feet, off his feet.
JR, Stevie Franchise did everything with flair.
And we were talking about high wire acts, guys getting it done above the rim. Stevie Francis was one of these guys. Ferocious dunk right there. Showed the type of things that he could do on the court in the ACC, and he carried it over to the NBA.
I do some behind the back when I host the show. It's not nearly as impressive when
They
I'm
don't
just talking.
see it. They don't see all that when we're off camera.
So which one did you like better, Bias or Stevie Francis?
I'm going with Len Bias because he showed you his whole repertoire right there. He showed you the 18-foot jumper. He showed you his quickness on the defense, and then he gave you a little nasty backwards dunk on Warren Martin against my heel. So I got to take that one.
So now it's time for you to vote. Watch these dunks on our YouTube channel. Like the one you like better. You can also tweet us at the ACCDN for your vote. And by the way, it's just a good idea for any ACC fan to follow our Twitter feed. The winner moves on. We're going in alphabetical order through the schools. So you can vote already on BC, Clemson, Duke, Florida State, and Georgia Tech. We will announce that Sweet 16 bracket next week. By the way, are you pondering what I'm pondering right now? What else is happening on ACC Live this week? I'm glad you asked. Tomorrow, it's trending. Kelly Nash and I give our takes on the stories ACC fans are buzzing about. Wednesday, we get access to the Hurricanes behind the scenes with Coach Jim Larinaga. Throwback Thursday, we look back at the North Carolina-NC State rivalry. Of course, they play Saturday. That is one of the games we will preview Friday on ACC Live Tip-Off with Mike Jaminski. All right, coming up next, ACC on the bubble. What the teams in the middle of the pack have to do to stand out so that they can pack their bags for a trip to the tourney.
Out with with the old and in with the delicious. Commit to bold taste with the new Flavor Resolutions menu at Ruby Tuesday. 10 entrees starting at $9.99. Try our savory barbecue brushed ribs and bacon wrapped shrimp. Or take it up a notch by adding coconut-crusted shrimp to our mango salsa-topped Caribbean chicken. Plus, enjoy our endless garden bar, free with any chef-inspired entree. Ruby Tuesday. It's all good here. Start the new year with savings. Visit rubytuesday.com today for a $5 coupon.
What's better, bigger or smaller?
Bigger!
So which would you rather have, a big treehouse or a small treehouse?
If it's big enough, you can have a disco. Oh, yeah.
Why do you not want a smaller treehouse?
Because it wouldn't be able to fit a flat screen TV, and then the TV would be about this big, and you would have to hold the wire. In the position you would hold the wire, you wouldn't be able to see the TV.
That's a pain in the buns.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not complicated. Bigger is better. And AT&T has the nation's largest 4G network.
The ACC Digital Network, the ultimate video destination for ACC fans. Exclusive highlights, live streaming games, and original live programming, unique access to the student athletes of our time and the legendary voices of all time. Defining moments, personal stories, incredible analysis from authentic ACC sources, cutting-edge content from the leaders in the digital space. The ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.
Good afternoon, Chase Sapphire. This is Stacy from Springfield.
Oh,
Hello?
yes, I didn't realize you'd be talking to an actual person.
You don't need to press 0. I'm here.
Reach a person, not a prompt, whenever you call Chase Sapphire.
This Dunk of the Day brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.
He's quick. There's Wells to jump out. Make the deft and slam it. Yikes.
They're making enough plays. The drives, this play defensively where Wells shoots the gap, gets off his feet. Love it.
Start the new year with savings. Visit rubytuesday.com to get $5 off 2 entrees.
That was Des Wells and Maryland's upset of Duke. Welcome back to the ACC Live here on the ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. I'm Jeff Fischel. JR Reid will join me in just a minute. We're talking about the great dunks in Maryland history. We showed you Len Bias and Steve Francis. Which is better? You can vote and decide which is the greatest dunk in ACC history. We want your votes. We'll narrow it down until we get to the best all time. Now it's time for stories from across the conference. Here's what's happening in the ACC now. Chris Paul was the MVP in last night's NBA All-Star game in Houston. The former Wake Forest star scored 20 points, had 15 assists and 4 steals for the West in the West's 143-138 win. CP3 is the first Clipper ever to be an All-Star MVP. Duke women's basketball star Chelsea Gray is hoping for good news today on her MRI. So are all Duke fans. Gray suffered a knee injury in the Blue Devils' win yesterday. The team says if there are no ligament tears, Gray could possibly return for the postseason. Duke is 24-1. And some really sad news for Duke fans. A Duke basketball great, Phil Henderson, has died at his home in the Philippines. He was on teams in the late 80s that made 3 Final Fours, perhaps the lasting moment of Phil Henderson in the '89 tourney, dunking over Georgetown's Alonzo Mourning. Coach K released a statement this morning. We are deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Phil Henderson. Our hearts go out to his mom and family. Phil was a talented player and a good man with a gentle soul. We will miss him dearly. Let's welcome back JR Reid now. JR, you played against Phil Henderson. In fact, you knew him all the way back to high school days, right?
Yes, we played in the 1986 McDonald All-Americans game together. And one of the most likable players that I ever had the privilege to play with. And I think you would hear anybody that had a chance to know Phil to say the same about him. And our friendship continued over into Carolina, and he was at Duke. And even in the summer, he's one of the first Duke players that I can remember to coming over working out with us in the summer. I gave him the seal of approval. But he would be sorely missed. My condolences to his family and the Duke basketball family. Great human being.
Well said. Phil Henderson played overseas professionally for several years. A cause of death has not been released. He was 44 years old. That is the ACC now. Let's look ahead now to the rest of this week's ACC hoop schedule. 4 games Tuesday. Tough one in Raleigh, Florida State and NC State, Virginia and Miami, Carolina and Tech at McCamish, and Maryland tries to keep its momentum at BC. Thursday, Duke is on the road again at Blacksburg. JR, is there one matchup here you're really looking forward to?
Oh, yeah. I want to see that Virginia-Miami. Miami doesn't have too many opportunities to lose here, but UVA's got his work cut out to beat them down there.
Now, as of today, we know for sure Miami and Duke are headed to the tournament. They're going to be one of the top seeds, no doubt about it. NC State has looked good as well. But what about the rest of the ACC? What about these bubble teams? What do they need to do? Let's look at the resumes. We'll start there. And we see what their overall records are, one-loss, conference records, RPI, which the tournament committee looks very closely at. They also look at strength of schedule. Of course, we'll start with Virginia, that strength of schedule number 178. What do the Cavs and Tony Bennett need to do to get into the NCAA tournament?
Well, Jeff, they're going to need a whole lot of winning. I think that UVA's I've seen them finishing 3-3 in their last 6 games, but I think they need to go at least 5-2 to have an opportunity, even a look from the NCAA committee, as well as doing well in the ACC tournament. The strength of schedule is not very good, and Joe Harris has to continue his hot shooting streak. He's a leading three-point shooter in the conference. He's been carrying them. He's really picked up his pace in the last 2 games. He has to get help from the inside guys. The interior guys have been up and down. Akil Mitchell really needs to step up. He's been big for him at times this season. They need more play from him inside.
I will say, despite the strength of schedule and RPI, the Ken Pomeroy ratings, if you know about those, they have Virginia number 19 in the country. I don't know that the committee looks at the Ken Pom ratings at all, but they should. And Virginia's perhaps a better team than the resume is telling you. All right, how about the Tar Heels, JR? I saw USA Today mock bracket today as a 9 seed. That's not very comfortable for any Tar Heel fans. What does Roy Williams' team need to do?
Well, that's not a lot of wiggle room for Roy, but Roy's making changes. He's heard the voice of Carolina Nation. He's heard that people were upset and was ready for a change, and he did that. He went to the smaller lineup, and P.J. Harrison has answered with big numbers. 29 points, a career night for him in his first start. But playing on a court with him, the guys are more at ease. They know what a tremendous scorer he is and another dimension that he brings to the Carolina offense. To a young team, when you can have a scoring like that counted on, it's a blessing. They need more of that. They can finish 6-1.
I'll tell you, with P.J. Hairston, Reggie Bullock, and James Michael McAdoo, when they're in the lineup at the same time, that is a great offense. It's good to see P.J. Hairston now getting more minutes with those guys.
And they're doing it with rebounding as well.
That's
with the
true.
Smaller lineup.
Even with the smaller lineup, you're right. Okay, Maryland just beat Duke. The Terps are back to 500 in the ACC. The strength of schedule, perhaps not great. What do the Terps need to do?
Well, the Terps, Jeff, there's a little bit better way of it coming up in the last 6 games. They've got the best schedule of all the teams that we're talking about, and I think they need to keep feeding the ball to Alex Len. When Maryland gets in problems is when he doesn't get enough touches inside, and we talked about that briefly earlier with the problems that they've had at the point guard position. But Des Wells has been solid. He's the best ball handler they have. He runs the offense. He's a great defender as well. Has really come in, stepped in, taken over the leadership of this young team, and they need him to be on the court for them to be dancing in March.
You talked about the schedule. It does set up nicely for the Terps. No more games against Miami, Duke, or NC State. Hey, quickly, let's talk about the defending ACC champs, Florida State. We haven't spent a lot of time on them. 14-11. Can they somehow put together enough wins?
Well, last year they were able to. We know, Jeff, that they're a team that really gets it going later in the season. So the coaching staff down there are hoping that this is Florida State's time of the year.
All right, we'll see. Maybe Michael Snare needs 3 or 4 more buzzer beaters.
that
might do the trick. Let's see where JR has his ACC power rankings now. Miami, Duke are, of course, 1 and 2. Then I see Virginia ahead of North Carolina, even though the Tar Heels just beat the Cavs.
I've got Virginia ahead of them. Carolina's still a work in progress, but they are trending up with the new lineup change. This could change here shortly.
And you have both of them ahead of NC State.
NC State was struggling a little bit till they got Low Brown. Low Brown is not 100% right now. He's still out there laboring on that ankle, but gritting it out.
Is there anyone from that second half, Florida State down, that could jump over to the top half of the bracket?
Man, I've been drinking the Kool-Aid all year on Clemson, man. They let me down every time. Clemson was a team I thought could really make some strides, but Florida State is still in there. It's some good teams.
All right, one last note. Imagine hockey playing under the watchful eyes of touchdown Jesus. Notre Dame is considering having its hockey team play once a year at its football stadium. Michigan and Michigan State, they tried this a couple years ago at the Big House in Ann Arbor. 110,000 people showed up. The only other AC school to play hockey is BC, so imagine the Eagles taking on the Fighting Irish. And the Eagles are one of the best in one of the country. Oh, by the way, but let me finish this up, and I'll have some breaking news for you. So Notre Dame could be seeing this once a year in hockey, again, at the football stadium. I'm just getting word right now. The AP poll, the new AP poll is out. Miami is number 2 in the country, the best all-time ranking. 20, wow. Am I hearing Kaz, my producer, is in my ear right now. 20 first-place votes, okay? Duke drops to 6 after the loss to Maryland.
Cavs all over that, yeah.
That's what we have him here for, right? So Maryland 2 in the country, behind only Indiana. 21-3 overall, the Canes are. 26 points overall behind the Hoosiers. Wow. So again, Miami's still in great position to get a #1 overall seed. Duke now dropping to 6th in the country. Duke really has to put some wins together. Of course, we know they've been playing without Ryan Kelly. That's the storyline we've seen from them. But this team is in, again, that USA Today mock bracket this morning had Duke as a #1 seed. We'll see what happens. The loss Saturday could hurt them more than they realize right now. But Miami, #2 in the country, the best ever for the Hurricanes in an AP poll. Thanks for watching ACC Live. Tomorrow, The Trending Show with Kelly Nash. You're watching the ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.